Hi, my name is Bob Taylor, and I'm your host for this segment of Our Ventura TV. I'm here today with my guest, Vanessa Teran from MyCop. MyCop, what is MyCop about?
Well, thank you so much for having us first. And MyCop is known as the Mixteco Indigena Community Organizing Project. We're actually a 501c3, a local agency that supports to empower, organize, and support the indigenous immigrant community in Ventura County.
Okay, now, and what programs do you have that does that?
Currently, we have around 20 different programs, all in different areas of community organizing, of health advocacy, of outreach and engagement, and organizing our youth as well.
Okay, now do you have, just because of today's political climate, do you have problems with that because of the things that are going on today with immigrants and that kind of thing? Does that get to you guys?
It definitely has affected us under this current political climate. We are advocating to support our community, to know their rights, to make sure that they're engaged, to make sure that there's voter engagement and citizenship engagement. We are organizing under the current political climate to make sure our voices are heard every day through different areas in education, in health, and just in workforce, making sure that we're able to maintain our work in this area as well under this economic crisis.
Okay, now what mostly does your group do in the way of employment?
Thank you for that. Yes, currently right now we do workforce development for medical interpreters and community healthcare workers as well. So these are individuals who bring their native language and our heritage and culture in order to support bridge building between local sectors in the legal field and the medical healthcare field and the educational field. So they are navigators, they're community connectors. They're the ones who are able to bridge between a doctor and a patient to be able to pass the voice of what's going on in different areas. So that applies in different areas as well.
And you guys help them not just with education for other people, but you help them with education degree-wise and that kind of thing.
They're able to earn a qualification certificate, which is right now, currently across the nation, there isn't anything to certify our native languages. The native languages that we speak are not in the national scope of the field. There hasn't been anything developed to support the indigenous languages. They're known as languages of lesser diffusion. Sometimes people know them as exotic languages. The thing that we're trying to do is to support our families and our youth to also maintain our language and to revitalize our language. We're currently in conjunction working with UCSB's linguistics department to earn to maintain our language, to continue to utilize our language, and to earn value in our language, to basically understand that there's value to it. We're also hoping that our community and also supporting them to earn their primary and secondary education through our education and literacy program. That's a very, very strong component because this enables folks to be able to know their rights, to be able to read their name, to read a paycheck, to understand, to navigate the world, and right now it's in Spanish. So that's another strong component, with the hope that our folks also are able to earn their GED, their high school diploma, and eventually end up in college.
So you not only help them appreciate their own language and stuff, you also teach them English or other things so they can get by in what is this real world of today here in California.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so that's really great. As opposed to just trying to teach them English, you make sure that they understand their language and really relish in that and really appreciate it.
True.
Right now, how many people are under your group right now, approximately? I know it changes every day, I'm sure, but how many people are under that?
True. So we serve annually around, I would say, 4,500 to 5,000 people annually.
Wow.
In different direct social services, humanitarian aid, and leadership development and trainings. And so that number fluctuates depending on the seasons, on people migrating or staying here locally. There's been, under the current political climate, there's less engagement this time around, but there's still activism right now. There's still work to be done. There's still a lot of community engagement.
Okay, now, where do you get your funding?
So yes, our funding, it's very key. It's donors, it's individuals, it's people who are out in our community who care about making the world a better place. It's big foundations such as the McCune Foundation, the Women's Foundation, the California Endowment, the Santa Barbara Fund, the Social Justice Fund, and the Weingart Foundation. There's a numerous amount of foundations out there, including government agencies such as Ventura County Behavioral Health.
Oh, that's great. So all of those agencies will chip in a little bit of dollars for the different programs.
Yes.
And I'm sure some of them cover certain programs, others cover other programs, that kind of thing.
That's right.
Okay,
Yes.
so what do you think, with all the people that you have and stuff, what do you consider a real success story?
Currently, one of our strongest success stories are 5 Indigenous women who will be earning a national medical certification.
Oh,
There
I got
hasn't
goosebumps
been
when you start talking
ever
national.
and anyone ever from our Indigenous community, maybe one person out there in the state of California that we know of, to earn national certification in their as English and Spanish speakers and their native Mixteco speakers.
Now, are they, in a perfect world, they, of course, would become United States citizens and continue to help you forever, or your organization, with their people,
Yes.
through health and everything else. How many people that make it through and everything do you still keep track of, or not necessarily keep track of, but still hear from on a regular basis?
Our students are our Indigenous youth who are now at UC Berkeley, Monterey Bay, East Bay, Cal Fullerton,
Oh, that's
Northridge,
just so great.
Washington State University, et cetera, our CSUCI. Our students are continually coming back. They have this program known as Tech Your Youth Group, which means to give back of yourself to the community and to contribute back. And so those students we continue to hear from, we continue to follow up from. Thanks to the Edison International, we've been able to get funding that supports them with scholarships, especially in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And so our youth continue to tell us stories of success. Their future artists, their future musicians, their future doctors, nurses, teachers, engineers, future midwives. They're our inspiration. They're basically our future. And
now, is most of your group right in Ventura County?
most of our group resides in Ventura County. There's an estimated 2,000 of us in this Indigenous immigrant community in Ventura County. That number comes from a study conducted in 2008. It's called the Indigenous Farm Worker Study, and anyone can Google that. And so that statistic is still rising and fluctuating. And so in Ventura County, 20,000 strong.
Wow, that's an awful lot.
It is. We're
Now,
here to stay.
Do you find the people you've been working with, do you find them getting younger, or do you find them getting older? Because the population you serve does not always stay the same population. You know, they tend to either, we have such a great, the silver tsunami coming with people getting so much older, people becoming more involved in different things, more advocacy programs,
Yes.
like you say. So how does that affect you guys?
That's a good question. So our numbers are usually between the ages of 15 to 45 would be the range. But also with our literacy component, we have more adults, so elders in our community who never had an opportunity to, maybe there was in the school locally, so they couldn't walk to school, or maybe the school that was built there only reached up to 3rd grade, so now they're finishing school. Right now with our new program that's called Curando el Alma, Healing the Soul, a project that's supporting Western and Indigenous healing practices. That one is bringing in a lot of our elders to our community to find ways of healing in our well-being and our mental health. And so that's keeping our elders, but our youth component continues, especially our healthy baby classes and our learning with mom and dad class, bring in younger generations of folks as well. So it's somewhere between the middle, back and forth.
Now, do you feel that because of your advocacy programs and that type of thing, you make the groups you're working with a lot more comfortable as to their surroundings?
Yes, one of our strongest successes was our No Me Llames Oaxaquita campaign, Do Not Call Me a Little Indian. And the other one was
how cute.
Yes, well, it was because there was a lot of discrimination and bullying happening in our school.
Yes.
So it was something that we don't want to be denigrated into something that we're not.
Right.
And then the other campaign that happened was around our language access campaign for the California DMV. So there wasn't anything when the driver's licenses with AB 60 happened, we couldn't take our language in our test in our native language. So now it's accessible in our native language. So there's big advocacy efforts that have been able to support us as well.
Oh, that's great. But it's only because of the advocacy from people like yourself and other volunteers. Okay, now I do know that even though you get a lot of support, a lot of funding, and a lot of people, I do know that it takes an awful lot of volunteers, passionate volunteers, to help you and work with you on the programs.
Always.
I mean, over the course of a year, how many volunteers do you think you count on in one way or another for help?
The number would be pretty high. It's hundreds of volunteers every single year through different area programs that we have in the spring and the fall, and throughout the different projects that we have. We have interns, we have academic researchers, we have volunteers every day, especially in our radio committee. We have a radio station. It's a low power FM radio station, which was one of its first of its kind in the state of California and probably the nation to transmit in 3 different languages and coming on 4 if we include English. And so our volunteers are the strongest component of the organization. Without volunteers, the meaningful work that we do wouldn't be possible. It really takes engagement. It takes giving, as you said, heart to be able to contribute to growing our society and our culture.
And a desire to serve others. Okay, now you mentioned 3 languages, 4 counting English, but how many different languages are among your group?
There is approximately, I would say, hundreds of different languages.
Wow.
From our region, there is 86 different ethnic groups, and so within those ethnic groups there's different languages.
Right.
And the languages vary depending on which community and town we're coming from. So even though Mixteco is one of our strongest languages that we serve in, and Zapoteco being the second one, there's still variations depending on our community. It's just very similar to how English is spoken differently in the UK from the one spoken in Australia, from the one spoken in Texas or in New York or in California. Very different, but there's almost like a dialect to it.
And you almost need a translator sometimes, even from us to talking to Australia or England or something, you know, because the words are so much different.
Yes,
I mean,
and
they're still English, but they're still a lot different, and the way they use them is a lot different.
Yes.
So you have counselors that can kind of understand you're not going to have anybody that can speak 100 different languages, but that can understand the things that are being told to them and that kind of thing, which enables you to put people together even though they are different languages.
We have all of our staff is primarily indigenous, so 85% indigenous. That means we speak our language, we know our culture, we know our history, and we're able to connect to our constituents, to those people who we're serving, because we come from each other. We come from our own communities. So our staff speaks the native language, our native language, and then we're able to communicate. And those are known as promotores and promotoras, community cultural outreach workers.
Okay, now we only have a little over a minute left.
Okay.
So what didn't we talk about that you really think the public should hear?
I think that one of the strongest things we should hear is continuing to empower our youth.
Yes.
Right now, our youth, our dreamers are under threat, and they're our future generation of making the world a better place, and so we'd really love the support in supporting our youth. We're having a scholarship release this spring, and we have it every year, every spring. So supporting our indigenous youth as well as supporting our literacy component. So teaching English and teaching Spanish would be crucial if people would like to support. But also one of our biggest annual fundraisers that happens in the fall. So participating in any way, volunteering, giving money or giving supplies in any way would be really helpful to sustain the work that we're building.
And how do people get information about those? From your website or?
Easily, yes. The website is very easy. It's mixteco.org. So mixteco.org. And you can find
one more time,
everything.
Mixteco?
mixteco.org. Mixteco.org.
Yeah, when I was looking you up, I just put in MyCop.
Or MyCop.
MyCop, and
Google
then that
MyCop.
led me to what you guys did, which made me really anxious to get you,
Thank you so much
on the show.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having us. Really appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Bob Taylor. I've been your host for this segment of Our Ventura TV. I've been here today with my guest, Vanessa Teran from MyCop. Until next time, thank you all very much.